everybody. Jesse Roberts with Compass CyberGuard here. Kind of going on. We're going to be talking about Game of Active Directory today. Game of Active Directory. Hopefully, I don't get sued by what's his name, George R. Martin, HBO, or the creator of Game of Active Directory, who I'm going to reference right now. Um, the GitHub project, there's a big whole long write up on this, and basically what it comes down to is somebody took the time to create a vulnerable Windows Active Directory domain. If you're not familiar with Windows Active Directory domain, I'd recommend you just kind of start off with learning more about that before you dig into this further. But I've had many years experience with Windows Active Directory, breaking it, fixing it, installing it throughout my many years of doing IT work. So I'm not a master at it, but I know enough. The one thing I will say about this project, and a lot of people use this particular tool to help deploy VMs, is it ends up being kind of a pain in the ass, and for a lack of a better word, it's called Vagrant, right? And again, it's a great idea, great concept. Every single time I go and I try to mess with Vagrant, it's a failure. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I just don't know what I'm doing. But in this particular case, I did have to take some steps to get it working. I'm not going to go over Vagrant and how to deploy a game of Active Directory in this particular video. What I will say is, though, if you want some working VMs in OVA format, if you're familiar with virtualization, find how to get in touch with me, and I will be more than happy to provide them to you so you don't have to deal with the whole Vagrant deployment of this particular environment. Again, it's a really awesome environment to practice Windows Active Directory and pen testing. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm going to be kind of going into next. And I'm going to try to keep this video relatively short because everybody's attention spans are very small, and just like mine. And again, I'm just kind of going to build on this video series depending on, uh, you know, interest in it, right? Sometimes my videos get a lot of views, other times they don't, but hopefully somebody finds this insightful or at least gets them interested and reaches out, hey, like I'd like a copy of those OVAs, can you help me out? Hey, what did you do there and why did you do it? And that's kind of what this is all about. So again, Jesse Roberts, SVP of Compass CyberGuard, and I'm going to show you guys the game of Active Directory. I'll put links into the GoAd setup. But again, if you would like just OVAs, and I'll figure out a way to get them to you. They're about 30 gigs a piece, and there's 5 of them. I should probably know that. But here we go. I have these kind of set up and deployed on my virtual instance here. It's a tool I use for testing. It's got the best HTML interface out there for accessing virtual machines over a web interface. As you see right here, and you can see the company's name right there. Great company. We buy it for testing out things and training and things like that. I'm going to go ahead and log in to my Kali instance. And again, Kali, for those of you that do not know, is basically a Linux distribution that aids in penetration testing, a whole bunch of different pre-built-in tools and things like that. I was kind of playing around with this previously, but one of the first things, that people like to do when, again, an internal pen test is start running this tool called Responder, right? And Responder, depending on configuration and other factors, might reveal some juicy results. Now, in order to leverage the real power of Responder, you have to be able the machine that you're, conducting the Responder attack from, or the Responder network sniffing from, has to be strategically placed in an area where the type of traffic it is looking for exists. So again, Responder is a tool that will sit out on a network. You set it up to listen on your network interface, and what it does is it looks for these NetBIOS, LMNR, and MDNS, and other types of broadcast WPAD data. What it's doing is it's looking for clear text credentials in there, and it's looking for, password hashes. And I have a little brief explanation of, how to disable all this stuff because it's really noisy. And again, it's transferring credentials all around your network so that somebody, a malicious actor, could definitely sniff them out. And then from there, they could potentially get, creds, password hashes, or depending on other things, they could relay those hashes to targets on the network. So let's just kind of demo what that looks like on the GoAd server here. I'm sorry, on the GoAd environment itself. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do sudo because that's going to be elevated privileges, super user do, as you Linux gurus know. And I'm going to type in responder. And you know what? Can we start introducing this like kind of autocomplete? Tab complete's always been there, and like history complete. I don't know when. I want to say like a couple of versions ago. And I gotta be honest, I don't really like it because I am confused and old, and I don't really know how to access it all that right. But I think if I go ahead and I do a double arrow tap, it go ahead and auto completes that for me. So again, sudo responder -I is for the interface you're calling out. And in this particular case, it's ETH0. Now, on your machine, it might not be ETH0. It kind of depends on how you're deployed um, generally speaking, though, it is ETH0. It also depends on your Linux distribution because Responder can run anywhere. If you didn't know your interface, all you have to do is do this IPA, and it's going to tell you, hey, look at that ETH0 there. So do a couple up arrows here, and I'm going to go ahead and kick into Responder. And if this network is configured to allow NetBIOS broadcasting and things like that, we should see some interesting traffic start to pop up. So let's go ahead and hit that and sit back and relax. Oop, gotta type in my password. It's probably not a great password. I'm sure some of you can guess it, but that's okay. I'm going to power off this environment when all is said and done. So here we go. We got Responder kind of going off. And look at that. Uh, again, as I was already running this, we're already having domain traffic that contains some juicy data here right off the rip. It does say skipping previously captured hash for domain north for Rob Stark. So obviously Game of Thrones. Go out again. Please don't sue me. I'm just doing this for educational. But we already have a juicy hash kind of captured here. And it's an NTLM v2 hash, so we can't really do much with it there as far as relaying it using another tool called CrackMap or NetX. But what we can do is we could kind of capture that particular hash and we could throw it up to like a password cracker and fingers crossed, there might be, an ability to crack this password. And next thing you know, we have a username and password in the system. So again, that's kind of always the first step in conducting these penetration tests is, well, one of the first things I know myself and my team does for the most part is run responder. And again, a lot of juicy info right off the rip. I know that one of my colleagues, Patrick Laverty, he has an awesome password cracking rig that he's built up over the years. We utilize one also at Compass, and again, it's very likely that we are going to crack your password. So again, that's a huge vulnerability right off the rip, and that took a whole matter of 2 minutes, according to my fancy Apple Watch. They didn't have Apple Watches in Game of Thrones times, but I have one on right now. So again, I'm just going to kind of stop this video here. Like and subscribe, reach out to us, try to figure out anything, and I hope to do another one of these pretty soon.